Reality and Truth Show. My name is Benita Lambert. I'm the host of this show, and I have the honor of hosting the show every single week. And I get to bring on special guests to share very important information with our community. And I'm an advocate for information because without any information, you cannot take advantage of the benefits. And today we have Dr. Charles Morgan with Salbona.
Got it.
And I had to practice that. And Dr. Morgan has been on the show before, and you're also a psychiatrist?
That's correct.
Okay, and he's going to share with us again today about Salbona. But before we do that, we're going to just show you a little video of it, and then we'll just get right into it. But welcome to the show again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back with you and to give you an update on Salbona. It's really an honor. Thank you.
I'm excited to hear because I love what you're doing in the community. I kind of know a little bit about it because I went on the website, but it is exciting. So I would like to hear it again. Great. Okay, so Francisco, could you just run the video? See you, we hear you, we believe in you. That was a great video.
Thank you. So this is an old video, but I like watching it because it summarizes a lot of what we do. Mm-hmm. So we began in 2021, so right after COVID and after George Floyd. And part of our mission then was to look at the needs in Bridgeport, where I'd served as chairman of psychiatry at Bridgeport Hospital for about 20 years and was about to retire. Mm-hmm. And our mission is really to build resilience and mental wellness among youth in the city. And we've been able to partner with, initially with Great Oaks, and now we're with Wakeman Boys and Girls Club.
Nice.
And it's been an exciting, I guess it's almost 4 years of work.
With the Boys and Girls Club?
Well, we've been with the Boys and Girls Club for a little bit over a year. We're in our second year of programming with them.
All right, and Wakeman Boys and Girls Club is in Bridgeport?
So there are actually two facilities in Bridgeport. We're at the Smilo Center, which is on Fairfield Ave.
Okay.
And actually exciting news, in the fall we hope to join the Madison Avenue location where we'll be working with high schoolers. We've been working with middle schoolers and a few high schoolers at the Smilo Center, but with the Madison Avenue it'll be with high school students. And we're quite excited because it means building a new curriculum.
Yes, I am excited to hear about that because when I grew up, we didn't have anything like that. And, you know, if you're lacking mentorship or leadership, you know, a lot of single families in Bridgeport, I was one of them, then you can get it from school. Well, we couldn't back then in the 60s and 70s. So this is so important for our community. And I think you selected the right age group, middle school. That age group, in my opinion, is where you can either lose them or, you know, you can lose them. Am I right?
I agree. The funny thing is that it's actually been challenging for me because I'm an adult psychiatrist, so I've really had to do some growing in the last 3 years.
Challenging for you, and you're a psychiatrist?
Because
You don't have it all figured out with these
no,
kids?
because my work has been with adults,
Okay.
and it really brings a different energy. You have to be much more physically involved. And we use creative expression, so it's music, it's dance or movement, it's art therapy, it's we do a little bit of gardening. We've actually had improv theater with a group, so it's really being on your feet. Once you get there, you are pretty active. This is no sitting back in your seat listening to someone's story. And one of the reasons that we chose creative expression is that people in general don't like to talk about feelings, especially hard feelings. And so you put a journal in front of a kid, you let them write, or you have somebody come in and help them build a poem about something. You can learn a lot about what they're dealing with, and so be able to help them. So you're actually doing activities. I forgot to mention team building, because it's another important thing with young people, is to realize you don't have to figure it out yourself. People can help you. And so that's really been the work that we've been doing. And the partnership with Wakeman has just been wonderful. They have been so welcoming to our group, and are getting us more involved with, and they volunteer their time to help us as well. So it's been really
the
good.
Boys and Girls Club is phenomenal on all levels.
Yeah.
When children are involved. I know that my children went to a Catholic school, Sacred Heart St. Peter's School. This is some 20-something years ago in New Haven. They did not have a gym, so we used the Boys and Girls Club for the gym. And they and we're starting at kindergarten and 4th grade. The Boys and Girls Club is a place where you could grow if you start at any level. They started the gym there, okay? And then they ended up going to camp there, after school there. Both my sons got a job there as a camp counselor. They did all of their volunteer work. They got letters of recommendations for high school and college. And so, we're a big part of my son played sports there, basketball, so I have a little plaque because I was like a team mom or something. So it's a great partnership.
It's really been wonderful.
And I commend you for working with kids, period, at any age. I'll tell you my one experience, and then you can tell us some more about Salvano. I know I kind of take over, because it kind of brought me back to my kids, which are now 32 and 28. So I advocate for seniors. I do Medicare and long-term care and all that stuff. So I'm used to doing what you used to do. Sit down and just listen. I ask questions and they answer them, and I make recommendations and help them that way. But one time I was on the school board at Sacred Heart St. Peter, very involved with my kids. And I was on the Home Association Committee, which was like the parent committee. And so all the teachers had like a teachers conference or whatever, and they asked me and the other parents to watch their classes. So I watched my son's class, which was kindergarten. And I was such a strict mother because I came from Father Panic Village, and I lost 2 brothers, and so I had 2 boys, and I was really strict because I wanted to make sure they went down a different path. But this classroom, my son was the leader of the pack. I had no control whatsoever. It was like watching that NyQuil commercial when the mom was sick, clothes were everywhere and food was everywhere. They took complete advantage of me. I would stop one from doing one thing, another one was walking on the desk. I was trying to put him on timeout. It was a complete nightmare. So I know exactly what you mean. I had no control over. They were like 5-year-olds.
Yeah. So one of the good things that we do at the beginning of each session, and our sessions run for 10 weeks, is that the first session we have the students, and they're actually called scholars at Wakeman, create their own guidelines. So basically what rules are we going to operate under? And they come up with the best things, from no phones to no running to one person speaking at a time. And so we follow that each session. And with the middle schoolers, we actually begin each session with reviewing those guidelines.
Okay.
So whatever we're doing, that's part of the ethos under which we operate.
So they create that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they create their
Because, you
own.
know, they can't disobey their own orders.
Oh,
That's
actually,
great.
one of them came up with, and so now we do this every time, says follow all the guidelines is the last one of the groups. So if they come up with 10 things, the 11th thing is follow all the guidelines.
Okay.
So they really hold themselves accountable
Good.
and hold each other accountable.
Right, that is really something. So this is Awana is an after-school program.
It's an after-school
also.
program.
So tell us a little bit about what they do after school. How are you able to incorporate the art with the therapy and?
So Wakeman is very, very structured. Their middle schoolers get there sometime around 3 o'clock or so.
Okay.
And they first have to make sure that their homework is done.
Okay.
So they get them settled there, and we don't see them till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Each session begins with reviewing a guideline, and what we do is we set up a curriculum that covers different topics, but we actually have 4 values that we stress. It's creativity, compassion, community, and collaboration. Actually, I remember them.
Okay.
And so whatever activity we're doing, those themes come up. Last semester, for example, we used Justice Sotomayor's book, which talks about her struggles with juvenile diabetes, and it talks about various strengths. And so even though it was a children's book, we read it together with a group and then had them talk about different things. But they did this through either writing poetry. We have a poet from the community who comes in and he does slam poetry, and he works with the kids in terms
slang poetry?
slam poetry.
Oh, okay.
And so he comes in and uses different techniques to get them to come up with the lines. They get a chance to perform their poem in front of the group. We have a movement therapist who comes in and he will do an activity based on the same theme. The art therapist will use the same theme. So each week, the sessions can work by themselves. So if you only come to one session, you're still going to walk away with some aspect of the theme. But it's best if you can come to all 10 sessions. And many of these students or scholars actually attend all sessions. And the staff makes sure that they come in and they participate. And the staff there actually participate as well. So it's good to, they're young people. And so they see other young people doing the activities, and so it encourages them to do that as well. So they're learning some leadership skills as they go along.
Exactly. You know, when you're teaching, you're learning.
Yeah, exactly.
It's well, not a double-edged sword, but it's a two-way street right
Exactly.
there. That's pretty awesome. I mean, it really is to see kids, interact like that. And you were talking about, when you talk about middle school children, these are children 12, 13,
Correct.
before high school. They don't have to come to those sessions. They're old enough to babysit themselves. They don't have to
Yeah.
be in an after school. So they're there because they want to be.
And there are days when they come in and they really don't want to be there.
But they come.
But the activity pulls them in, and the next thing you know, they're showing other people how to do it. And so watching them grow and learn is a big part of the program.
Okay, now how is all of this, is this all like the therapists that come in, is that mostly all volunteer basis?
Oh, that's a great question. So every single person so South we have a board of, right now I think we're about 12 people.
Okay.
Each week at least 3 or 4 of us are boots on the ground, so we are there. We do have specialists, for example, the person who does team building games, or the poet who comes in. We're able to give them a small stipend, but They're really
Okay.
volunteering
They
their
wanna
time.
be there.
They want to do the work. We just feel that part of the idea with artists especially is that art isn't as valuable as other aspects.
Yes,
So we
ma'am.
wanted to make sure that we honor their time and their passion with a small stipend. And so we're always doing fundraising, which I'll get into. But one of the, I guess, jewels for this year is that for the first time, we were able to get a competitive grant of $7,500 from Fairfield County's Community Foundation.
Okay.
And that is
That's
recognition that the work that we're doing is meaningful. This is an
Right. That's
philanthropic
confirmation.
organization that, seeks out nonprofits, and we're still fledgling. We're babies in the field, but they were able to see the potential, and so we have our first grant, and we're really excited, and that will actually allow us to double our offering. So in addition to the middle schoolers, we'll start working with the high school schoolers. We'll be able to have more creative artists come in to help us out.
There's got to be a lot of grants out there for artists. Do you have a grant writer? Do you have somebody like searching the web for, grants for after school? Really, there's an ocean of money out there.
Oh,
there really is. We
That
just
is
have to get to
That
it.
is a question I would have paid to have you ask. So no, we don't have a
need
grant
a grant writer.
But if there is anyone out there who has experience in writing grants, please give us a call or reach out to us through our website, because that's very helpful. So our secretary, with whom I think you've had a little bit of communication, and I have spent most of the time, and there's a volunteer from Silver Hill who has been a great
okay.
partner organization from our outset, who's helped us to write our first grant.
Okay.
But yeah, we do need someone.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely.
So share this information. We need volunteer grant writers to help this organization out and to help our children starting at the middle school age. I mean, it takes a community. If you have any extra time, and share this on YouTube. It's also on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Share it with your friends, your neighbors, and you'll have a link where you can share it on social media and
Okay,
everywhere.
great.
That Sarbana is looking for grant writers to help support the children, especially in the greater Bridgeport area in the inner city. I wish I was a grant writer because I would do it for you, because when you come from an area where there aren't that many resources, then you want to help more. And then we have to get back to our community. Even if you just write one grant, then you pass it on to the next grant writer. You don't have to stay forever. Just get us one big one.
I love that. Actually,
Just one big one, and then you could go on about your business.
while we're on the subject of volunteers,
Yes.
we do have volunteers from the community who come in and help us out each week. And I want to say thank you to them. But we are now in need of people who are fluent in Spanish, because our last couple of groups, we've had more students who are non-English speaking, or that's not their first language.
Right.
And yes, I struggle with a little bit of Spanish to help them, but it'd be great to have someone who speaks Spanish.
Bilingual,
who,
a bilingual
could come in.
volunteer.
And we're there Wednesday afternoons, usually from 3:30 to 6 o'clock, with about 2 of those hours are devoted to FaceTime with our scholars, our students.
Yeah, you know what? And sometimes a lot of people aren't able to be on site. There's many ways that you can volunteer and be a translator. I've seen it at, like, when I was going for therapy, they have little screens. You can FaceTime someone and, explain things that way if you can't make it at that point. So there's a lot of different ways to volunteer. You don't always have to be on site, but it's nice to have you there. If you can be there, that's just a wonderful thing. And, this Spanish is our second language. There are so many
Yeah.
Spanish-speaking people here. I work with a colleague. We do our shows. We do bilingual shows. She's a bilingual life insurance Medicare agent. One of my colleagues. We come here and we explain Medicare. I'll talk about it in English, and she translates it because you have to have that.
Yep.
You know.
I mean,
And it's
you
a-
mentioned different. I'm sorry, I
No,
cut
no,
you.
no.
But you mentioned different ways of volunteering. One way that could be helpful is that we do have program material in English.
Okay.
And if somebody's willing to take that on and to translate for us, that would be
Oh.
helpful. We do, for example, a mood meter.
What's it, a mood meter?
Yeah, so when the young people come in each week, we try to assess how are you feeling when you walk in the door, and how are
Okay.
you feeling when
Mood,
you leave. And it's all in English now. It's actually a great tool developed by a psychologist at Yale, and has been using a lot of research, but it's all in English.
Oh, okay.
If we had that in Spanish, our young people are coming in could get through it so much more quickly than me trying to figure out each word for them.
Wow.
So yeah, if there's somebody out there, we'd be willing to have them.
You could translate it on your own time
Exactly.
at night, or when the kids go to sleep or whatever.
Yep.
Mood reader. Can I get one of those for my husband? I like to know how he's
Before you walk through the door.
before I walk in, so I can know what to do. We need those for our homes. I bet you a lot of people out there would like to have that about their children and everything. That's awesome. That's a great tool.
And again,
Yeah, so-
most times you talk to adolescents, I have young adults that I treat, and you say, how are you doing? They say, okay. You have
Automatically. And
you
it-
have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if you have a series of words that they can pick from, they can circle that, and then they can give you why they're feeling that way. So it's really very helpful. It's also color coded, so it's a nice tool.
That sounds like something perfect for me. I love using my colors. I color code everything. I'm a spreadsheet person. I'm analytical. Everything has its
Okay.
little place for for everything.
Yeah.
That's great. And I just I know you see the results. Now you've been doing this 4 years.
Yeah.
So the first year, can you explain to us a little bit, or a child that's been in it for that long, do they stay in it for 4 years, or what's the longest length of time, and what's their progress from the time they started till they left, or just give us an
So,
example?
Because we actually moved from one location to the next, we haven't had anyone who's done it for more than about a year
Okay.
and a half.
That-
So what we try to do, even though the same themes come up, the activities are different.
Okay.
So there are some kids who've been through two 10-week sessions plus the summer program.
Okay.
But the activities are not exactly the same. It's still all about team building, it's resilience, it's expressing yourself creatively. So they may see this, say the poet may come in 2 or 3 times to the same person, but they won't necessarily use the same format to get the poem done.
Okay. I was wondering about the growth. You have to see that. And
So-
I see it just by them showing up for 10 weeks.
So-
and
so
I've never
we-
seen it.
So we see it subjectively, and I think now that we have some sense of the program and how it's working, that what we really want to start to do is to objectively measure that. And so that's our next phase, where we'll be able to see growth. And we look at retention, for example, like
Okay,
you said,
that is so
as
important.
one way of gauging progress. But we really want to be able to get more hard data, because as you mentioned, grants, that's information grants are going to look for. It's great that you have these activities going, but how do we know it's making a difference?
Exactly.
And so that's our next phase.
Exactly. We have about 3 minutes left, but I just have one more question. Now, what would you say to parents out there that, you would like to see more children come? What would you say to them to give them incentive to make their children, interested, or even just come and test your plan, your program?
So-
I'm sorry, Sarbana.
So for students to be involved in Sub 1, they have to be members at Wakeman.
Oh, okay.
So that's the catch.
What does
And,
it take to become a member of Wakeman Boys Club, Boys and Girls Club?
there's
I'm sorry.
actually, I don't know all the details. There's a membership fee,
Okay.
but it's also scaled based on income.
Okay.
There are lots of activities that are going on at the Wakeman sites.
Okay.
And they actually they have much younger kids than we deal with through
Yes.
high school. So there's a gorgeous gym. I know that they have had cooking class. They have lots of stuff
They have
going.
teams, basketball teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're just one aspect of the Wakeman program.
Okay.
The other thing that I should mention is that we have summer programs coming up in July. We do a week with 5th through 7th, and then a week through 5th and 6th, and a week with 7th and 8th graders.
Okay.
That comes up, and that we'll be collaborating with the Beardsley Zoo this year.
Nice. So you have to get your children involved in Wakeman's Boys and Girls Club so that they can take advantage of some of the various programs they have there, such as Salbana.
Actually, it may be a good idea to have one of their people come and talk with you, because they have excellent programs.
Wakeman's?
Wakeman
Okay, the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a couple of minutes left. I want to leave you with the last couple minutes to let the audience know whatever you want to tell them about Salbana and how to contact you.
Okay.
Just anything.
So again, thank you for the opportunity to talk about Salbona.
Always.
As we saw at the beginning, and which I never explicitly stated, Salbona is a Zulu word which means we see you.
We see you. Okay.
And that's something that's important. I want to leave with that we see you, all aspects of who you are.
Oh, that is very awesome. And I was reading that, but I read, we see you, we hear you, we believe you.
Right.
So that's what it means. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you
you.
come back in the fall or whenever you have new information to share. If anybody have any questions or want to visit the website, it's right there on the screen, salbanacares.org, or you can call 203-290-1746 and ask any questions that you like. And also, don't forget about Wakeman Boys and Girls Club. So that's our show for today. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show, and we're on your side. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.